So on this episode of Estate CX, I'm with Ross Fine from Christopher Pallet, an agency in the Aylesbury area. So we discussed 26 years of industry experience from working in a corporate, working at an independent for 10 years, how he managed to buy out two of the business partners he went originally into his business with, and also a rebirth in himself, in his fitness and his health. That's then made him actually rebirth his company and where he sees a direction going forward into the future. Hope you enjoy this episode.
Estate and CX, the UK's #1 estate agency podcast discussing the future of estate agency, entrepreneurship and business, host Mark Burgess and Rob Brady.
So Ross, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
So for anyone watching or listening out there, give a bit of background of how you arrived to Ross and Christopher Pallet today.
Okay, so I want to say fell into estate agency because that's a cliche. Yeah. I was encouraged by some friends that were estate agents to get into estate agency. I was fitting kitchens at the time, kitchens and bathrooms for my stepdad, and because I had to have a job after doing an engineering MVQ at college for a few years and hated working in a factory. Fit kitchens, and then fell out with my stepdad and thought I need to do something else. And a friend said to me, "Look, Ross, I think you'd be a good estate agent." They've been doing it for a while, and you should get into it. So I went for an interview, got offered the job. That was at Hart in 2000, and that's where it all began for me, really.
Wow. Okay. 2000. That's a long time ago now, isn't it?
Oh, thanks.
Yeah. Okay. And so, how long did you work at Hart, or how long did you work rather in sort of that environment, independent estate, as corporate estate agency?
Well, it was sold as the largest independent estate agency in the country. It's a corporate.
Yeah.
I was there for 3 years. I remember just getting the job, being really excited about it, just car and working in an office and out of the office, and seemed really interesting to me.
White BMW?
No, I wasn't that lucky.
They wouldn't have given a BMW.
McGann.
Oh,
I think it was McGann back then. And I remember being in the office for like 2 weeks, loved it, and had to have a one-to-one with the boss. And he said, "Right, you've only been here 2 weeks. How are you getting on? Any questions?" And first question, "How do I get your job?" Is what I said to him. I said, "I love this. How do I get your job?" So I knew he was earning money and he drove a BMW.
Yeah.
And I thought, I want some of that. And he laughed and said, "Yeah, you're several years away from being able to get my job." And I thought, no. So we talked about progression, how I could progress quickly. I realised fairly quickly that if I wanted to step up the ladder, as it were, I needed to be good at getting houses on the market. And so that's what I focused on. I think within 8 months of being in agency, I was out valuing. Said, "Well, you're not going to go out on the valuations that come in. You have to generate your own." So I literally went through everybody's applicant boxes, found the people with houses to sell locally, those that were on the market and weren't on the market, and I just focused all my time on bashing their applicants and trying to generate valuation leads, basically. And I think within a year of being an agent, I was outlisting most people in a 20-odd office group. I was outlisting most of the seasoned listers, assistant managers, because I loved it, and I realised that's where I was going to earn money. You were paid commission on listings, commission on sales, and I thought, well, if I get them on the market, when I go on holiday, I'm still going to earn money because they're going to be selling my houses. So, to be honest, I was never really that excited about generating viewings, getting people around houses. I was always more excited about getting houses on the market in the first place and selling me and the company I was working for. Let's say it was more about selling me. So that's what I enjoyed doing.
And then where did you go after Hart?
So I remember 3 years in, all of a sudden things changed. You're not allowed administrators anymore. They got to go. We're making cutbacks. My boss who had employed me, Colin, was a great guy. We've been through 3 or 4 different area managers, the area changed from 20 offices to 17 to 35. An area manager came in and basically sat him down and said, "You haven't got a choice in terms of what we're doing. You'll do as you're told." And he said, "Well, I've got a choice, and here's my notice, I'm off." And he left, and I thought, oh, okay, one or two things here for me. Either I don't really like the way it's going, I'm going to leave. Actually, I'm going to put my hat in the ring and say, I'll run the office. And so I had a meeting with the area manager and said, look, well, I've only been here 3 years, but I'll run the office. I'll never go to this. And there was zero eye contact and just left me with a really bad feeling. And so, 2 weeks later, I left.
Mm.
I went to work for an independent company called Hartwell Partnership. A guy called Tim, and got a job there as sort of senior negotiator / assistant manager. And just before I started, I had a call from Colin to say, just so you know, I'm going to be your boss again. I've also got a job at Hartwell, right? So we both ended up working together there again. I was there for 10 years in total. I worked, I was a senior negotiator, became sort of assistant manager quite quickly in the Aylesbury office, and then I became the sales manager in that office. By 2006, so 3 years later, they'd opened up some more offices. There's 4 offices in total. Colin stepped up to sort of an area manager role. So I was running the main office, the Aylesbury office. And then there was an opportunity to open up the 4th office, which was a small village market town, which I sort of pushed for, to be honest with you. And that was great. Tim, the owner, supported me and said, okay, well, let's go get another office. Bang, it's yours. And so I opened that in 2006. We were market leader in let's say it's only a small village. There's 4 agents there. We were market leader within 6 months. I enjoyed that time there. But the Aylesbury office started to go down in terms of numbers. It was lagging a bit. So I ended up going back there. Long story short, Colin left. Colin was unwell. He left. He had partnership into the Late Buzz office. I became an area manager and running the Aylesbury office. Then I got offered the opportunity to be sales director. So I went to get another job. I got offered another job as an area manager for Countrywide. He didn't want me to go. He said, I want you to stay. What have I got to do? So made me sales director, up my wages, car, everything else. Took the more comfortable option rather than jumping into the fire. And then my first job as sales director in 2008 was to close down 2 offices and make most people redundant. So, okay.
Not always nice going up the chain, is it?
I'll go and do that then.
Yeah. Got to do some
So-
That sounds like a traditional independent estate agency and how things
Yeah,
operate.
well,
isn't it?
my actual crash. And what did you do did you eventually leave that company, or is that when you went and set up your own, or was there?
Well, I think, so I think it got to the point, without going into too much personal detail, I worked my backside off. I've always worked for myself. Okay, I might have worked for a company and someone else owns the company, but I've always worked for myself and been very proud of what I do. Pride is everything to me. Integrity is everything. And so, I work my backside off because that's the way I am, not because I want to do it for someone else. It was all basically for me. A number of things happened that affected my life quite drastically. And all of a sudden, I didn't have the support that you would expect from someone who you'd worked for 10 years and worked bloody hard for. And it opened up my eyes to the realization that actually I wasn't as important as I thought I was, maybe. Everybody's replaceable. And so I decided I had to get out, had to go. And so I handed my notice in. It was a 3-month notice period. And I thought, oh shit, I better get a job. But obviously there was a level I needed to be at. And so I was looking around for a job, and one came up in Milton Keynes for Hart again, which is one of their flagship branches, massive branch. So I thought, well, okay, I don't think it's really what I want to do. I thought area manager, regional manager role was really what I want, but this was the next best thing. So I thought, well, perhaps if I can get into there, then it's a stepping stone to area management and the rest of it, which I thought that's what I wanted to do, probably driven by money as well as anything else. But negotiated a great salary there. But just the guy that interviewed me said, yeah, you won't get paid that because that's more than I'm on. He was like an area manager guy. And then, well, that's what I'm worth. So that's what I'll be looking for. And I had to go to the head office. Was that Cultures? Yeah. And met with Gwyn Gittins, great guy, and had an interview with him. Got the job, but it never felt quite right. And it was a mess. When I went in there, it was a mess. There was a lot to be done and dropped a lot. The pipeline was not right. Properties on the market shouldn't have been on the market.
Yeah.
And I thought, crikey, this is a very stressful situation to find myself in. And then at a similar time, I was approached by a couple of agents that I know who owned Christopher Pallet in Aylesbury, Tony and Nick. One of the things that I've always been very, but I've always got on with other agents. I've never had an issue with other agents. There's always a lot of agents hate agents. I've never really bothered with any of that stuff. I've always got on pretty well with them. And they approached me and said, Christopher Pallet himself, who owns the Wendover office, is selling up. Is it something you're interested in? Let's have a chat. So went to have a chat with them. They explained how it would be. We'd go in as partnership. They would own 51% between them. I'd come in at 49%. We'd all put the sort of equal money in and take over the office. And that was 13 years ago. January 13 years ago. So I went home and said to my wife, this is the proposal, this is what we need to do. She said, well, what do you need? I said, X. And so 2 minutes later, she walks out of the room, 2 minutes later, she came back in and went, there you go, there's a loan, Tesco's loan for that amount of money. You've been approved. If you press that button, you can do it. And I just pressed the button and said, right, so what's the worst going to happen? I said, I'm not sure. She goes, well, it doesn't work out and you'll have to go and get another job. You'll get another job in the estate agency.
Yeah.
That's the worst thing that's going to happen for you. So, all right, solid. She supported that 100%. And so we went for it. And 13 years ago now.
So 13 years ago, and you had Christopher Pallet. And has anything changed in those 13 years in terms of the ownership? Is it still the same?
No. So back in 2018, I was a little bit disillusioned by things. I don't think I was enjoying things as much as I should have been, really, as a business owner. So the two business owners that I had, great guys, but really no involvement in the business.
Mm-hmm.
So they wouldn't cover a Saturday if I needed them to, or help out as in coming into the office. One of them did the accounts, great, so I didn't have to worry too much about that, and sort of manage the money. The other one was more of a silent partner. And I suppose every time I wanted more money, it was a case of, well, if I take more money, they have to the equivalent, right? So I got a bit frustrated by that. And I had an idea about online sort of properties. And so I thought to myself, look, who do I know with some money that might invest? And the great guy, Nigel Hoth, who at the time still does own a company called Go2 Group. It sold off his previous company that's organised surveys for estate agents and stuff like Go2 Group. So I contacted Nigel, went to see him with my idea. So I pitched my idea to him, and he said, okay, great, let me think on it. I'll be in touch. And the next morning I woke up to a message from Nigel and said, you need to come and see me. So I went and had a chat with him again. He said, look, great idea, love your idea. I think it's something that's got legs. Yeah, I woke up thinking about it, so it looks great. However, I've got a proposal for you. Okay. So he offered me a job to come and work for him. As I say, so the Go2 Group sells solutions to estate agents, so survey solutions, solicitor solutions, so on and so forth. And I said, well, I've got my own business. I don't really need a job. In the back of my mind, I always thought, well, I've always wanted to try a bit of business to business sales. Never done that before. And then he offered me a package that I thought, crikey, well, I might as well give this a go. So again, spoke to my wife about it. She said, well, it's a regular income, it's not commission, and that's good money. So go and have, again, nothing to lose, go and give it a go. And at the time, I thought, right, that's it, I'm done with my business. And I sort of agreed a sale on it. That didn't work out. That person pulled out, so I still had the business. So I contacted Colin, who gave me my first job in a estate agency at Hart, who was working in village, next village along, if you like, running an office there, and said, look, do you want a job? So, okay. Like, long story short again, he came to run my business for me. As I went, right, I'm off to Go-To Group and trying something new. You can run the business. The business partners agreed with it. So I went to work for Go-To Group for a year. Which gets that and some of it, but I was there for a year, really proud of what I achieved there and what I did there. But it actually made me realise how much I love the estate agency, how much I struggle to be managed, how much I don't like to be managed, and I like to be my own boss and do my own thing. So again, went back to my business, bought out one of the business partners. We agreed a financial settlement. So he went. So it was left with me and the other guy that did the accounts. So all of a sudden I had 74%, 74.5%.
Still have Colin?
Colin's still there. So I went back to work with Colin.
Yeah.
We hadn't worked together since our Hartwell days, which was several years before. And it was great. We hit off. Colin and I have always stayed in touch since day one, really. Yeah. We got on very well from the early days. He was very... they used to call him Rocket because he used to go from 0 to 100 very quickly. And he was quite forceful, in his way of managing his office. He was never like working for Hart. It was like working for Colin. It was his office, and we did exceptionally well. But very early on, we got on. He would tear a strip off someone in the middle of the office in front of someone, in front of everybody, if they weren't listening and kept messing up. I think he called me something one day, and I just turned around and called him it back, and it faced a bit of shock. Like, no one talks to me like that. Like, mate, anything you say to me is not as bad as what I've been used to at home sometimes. So, it's not going to work. And literally, because we got on straight, that was it. So, anyway, so I went back to work with Colin. Then COVID happened. Interesting times. And then as we came out of COVID, that was an incredible year. Especially about business. And then my other business partner decided he was coming out of the industry, was going to get a job. And the job meant he wasn't allowed to own an estate agency because of who he was going to work for. And he wanted to keep his shares in the office because it was making money and it was making him money regularly. But that's not something I was interested in. And it was a good opportunity for me to then go, so I brought him out in 22, I think it would have been. So since then I've owned it all myself. Sorry, I took to go through that quite quickly. So that's right. And it's been a journey,
Colin's still there.
So Colin still works with me. I wouldn't say he works for me. He works with me. We are very much a team, a partnership. This is my business. But Colin, again, I think very much like me throughout my career, and I probably learned it from him, was you're working for yourself. And that's the way he is. But he is an excellent estate agent. Learned huge amounts from him over the years, and he's someone I trust massively. So I can go on holiday for 2 weeks if I want to and feel comfortable that things are being done in the right way, and the business will still be there when I get back. Shoot. Sorry, crikey. So I'm sure I've missed bits out there as well. But...
Hart in 2000 when you joined,
yes,
versus Christopher Pallet 2026. I mean, it's got to be like two different worlds, hasn't it?
Massively. I mean, back in 2000, in the office, you had the applicants on cards in a box, a phone on your desk, and the cards in a box on your desk. That's it. No computers. One computer in the office, which the admin lady touched, and the manager might have been allowed to touch, but now you need to touch it.
Windows XP.
Possibly.
Windows 95.
Piles of envelopes, wasn't it? We used to email out.
Envelopes, no internet, the newspaper, filling that in that was my job every week to get all that. And and I liked all the sort of marketing side of things. I've always enjoyed that and design, so I was always quite hot on that.
So in those 26 years, obviously, like technology is the obvious one that's coming, but weirdly, like it also feels like maybe a little bit. Maybe you might disagree with this. I don't know. I'm thinking back to that time, and I'm thinking generally for estate agents now with loads of technology, loads of different tools for different things. It's actually probably harder for them to make a profit now than it was back then. And with thinner margins now than there were back then, even with all of that technology. But there are some things, obviously, that are helping them. So I don't know, like, because we laugh, applicant box, filing cabinet, but it was very simple.
It's very simple. It's straightforward. There's your phone, and there's your cards, and there's the
And we
properties.
sort of felt like, well, what would solve this would be, if I could have more leads, more properties, more applicants, more this, more that. But maybe that's just noise.
Yeah, I mean, the traditional way was we would cut the town up into 5 sections because there was 5 of us, and every week you'd take it in turns to go and drive around your area, and you'd look at the boards, write the addresses down, and you send your tout letters out. It might, if there's 2 boards on a property, you get out, knock on the door because that's a multi-agency. Well, we'll get that on as well then.
Yeah.
And you'd control your area, and that worked really well for us. And we did exceptionally well in that office. That's the way we used to do it. Get in the car, do a few miles, and then send some letters and see if see if you've got an applicant card with a name on. And those days they're done with, in the bin.
Yeah.
That
As soon as they leave in the door,
That's
they
it.
close the door behind them. What's the time?
Yeah.
Well, no, that was a big that I never forget. I learned very, very early about judging books and its covers. So this guy walked in, probably quite early on in my career, and he was a scruff, just a real scruff. And I straight away picked up the phone, as you do.
And
I'm
someone else,
busy,
that.
and so someone else dealt with him. And the following week he sold the most expensive house we had on our database to that guy that walked in. And you learn quickly when you do things like that.
Yeah.
Actually, yeah.
I used to have. I worked in my first career was in banking,
Mhm.
and I used to have the old payment books. People used to come and update the payment books, and I learnt that very quickly because you'd have people in the queues. You do the payment books, you think, fucking hell. £800 just sat there in their current account, just doing nothing.
But it was simple times. Back then, it was simple times.
Yeah.
I mean, you're getting the job as a lister, right, Ross? You're now a valuer, a lister. So the first thing I did when I bought myself a briefcase, so I could put my 6x6 measuring stick in there and my comps and the rest of it. Walk down the road with my briefcase and
Start having a real job, isn't it?
no, right? Get a pager and a file. No, not that bad, but and that, a stick to measure houses with a camera that you took your photographs and someone will come around and go and develop the
Did you
film.
take anything from your independent days before you moved into to owning that business?
Yeah, look, I think the difference is I think a lot of the corporates, as it were, have this one size fits all attitude. Oh, this is the marketing we're doing, and all the offices will do the same. That's the way it is. And I see it today. One of our competitors that has an office, multiple offices, and I see how well they do in one area, and they try to do the same strategy in our sort of market town. And it doesn't resonate with people. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. It's not a personal approach. It's very clearly we're this giant and you should use us because we're great and we've got all these offices, and people don't buy into that. So not having that one size fit all attitude definitely is more of an independent thing. You tailor your services to an individual rather than they're the same. Some people want WhatsApp, some people want phone calls, some people want email, some people just want to have a chat, and you tailor that to each individual.
Yeah. I was listening to you on a podcast a little while ago, and maybe I'm wrong, maybe I got the wrong end of the stick, but I got the feeling that like you almost sort of there was like a rebirth in your company not so long ago. Like, do you know what I mean? Whereby like you said, maybe you touched on it, where like you got disillusioned with it or whatever, and like then just decided like, you know what, fix this, and then there's like a like a new version of the company, am I right? Or
A new version of me, I think I would say, rather than the company initially. So probably about 2.5 years ago, 2.5, 3 years ago. Again, I was probably not in a great place. The realization that I was just living my life in autopilot, I think is probably the easiest way to say it. Just doing the same things you've always done, the same stuff all the time. It was about that time I was also diagnosed with sleep apnea, and I was probably a bit overweight. Well, I was overweight, wasn't sleeping. I was waking up, stopped breathing, should I say, 12 times an hour. Suffering headaches and just not in a great place at all. And realization that something needed to change. I wasn't enjoying running a business. It was just a case of everything was hard work all the time. And I wasn't concentrating on myself at all. I thought, well, I need to make changes in my business. What do I do? Do I start doing high-end properties? Do I need to do more of something else? I don't know what to do. And I reached out to Matt Gibbs. He was on LinkedIn, and I followed him for a while on LinkedIn, and a lot of stuff that he said made sense. And I sort of agreed with a lot of the stuff he was saying. So I'm taking the message out. He just started the sort of prestige brand that he did. And I thought, well, I'll speak to him about that and say, look, is that sort of just that company, or are you franchising it, or perhaps that's what I need to do? Straight away, he said, well, come and see me. And so I went up to Stevenage to see Matt. I thought we were going to sit down and have a chat. I go into his office and goes, come on, we're going on evaluation. Okay, I'll go on evaluation. So strange, okay. Well, so I got in his car, in his nice Porsche, and we went round and we valued our house. And it straight away involved me in the conversation. I thought, I wasn't expecting this at all. And so, I'm on this valuation in an area I don't know at all. No idea of the house. Anyway, it involved me in the conversation. We had a good chat. It was so natural. It was just a conversation. I thought, this is exactly it. It's just having conversations with people. Anyway, we come out of there, we got on, we went for a cup of coffee. And next thing I know, he's suggested, the precious thing probably wasn't right for me, but the next thing I know, he suggested to me, he said, look, I've got an idea. There's 3 other guys that I work with, think about doing a mentoring group. I call it Power Group, and we'll all, so okay, sounds interesting. And we formed this group, and Matt mentors the 4 of us, and we was on his podcast for Christmas. And it changed a lot for me. All of a sudden I felt like I had people. So going from having 2 business partners, which, as I say, great guys, and every idea I had someone to sense check it with. I had someone to talk to about it and support. Even if it was like, yeah, sounds good, crack on, Ross. At least I've told someone that's what I'm going to do, right?
Got it off your chest. Someone else gave you some, belief that it would work.
Yeah, give it a go. Sometimes I was like, oh yeah, we tried that before. Didn't really work for us. All of a sudden I got these 4 guys that I can talk to on a monthly. It started off as like, right, we'll do this 6-week thing, 6-week program. And we talked about valuation instructions, and it turned very much into a mindset thing as well, mindfulness, wellness. And it gave me a new lease of life. And I thought, you know what, listen to some of these guys about what they're doing in their business, how they're running their business, and how they were, dealing with certain things. I thought, shit, come on, there's more to this than just having a business. Run it the way you want to run it, enjoy it again. What's going to make it more enjoyable? How are you going to enjoy it more? But also it made me look at myself quite deeply, and I think, well, I'm not looking after me. I'm spending so much time thinking about everybody else, my family, make sure everyone else is all right. I wasn't looking after myself. As I say, I was overweight. I wasn't eating very well. I hadn't moved my body for a few years. I had to stop playing football because I had to stop running because I damaged my knee. I had 2 operations many years ago. And so I wasn't exercising. I wasn't doing anything. And my son was 12. He's a quite an impressionable age. And yeah, but soul searching and realised I needed to sort my shit out, basically. And so that's exactly what I did. I started swimming, stopped moving, started looking at my nutrition, started going to bed early, because I had to get up early to go swimming at 6 a.m. All of a sudden, I was feeling a lot better about myself. made lots of decision making easier. I cleared my head. And then you start making changes in your business, like saying no to people, which is something I've never done before. It's always been, get the business right. Just more. Just get it, whatever you need to do. And realize actually you're dealing with some real arseholes you don't want to be dealing with, and you just do it. You think, oh, that's what they're like.
And especially in a estate agency where you're not getting paid till the deal happens.
Right.
You're dealing with arseholes for free.
Yep.
And those people think you're an arsehole, and they're never going to pay you.
No. But and you look at what national average of only 50% are completing, right? So 50% of the people you're dealing with, you're not going to earn any money from. And that realization actually, it can be different.
Mm.
You don't have to keep doing the same things you've always been doing. You don't have to live in autopilot. It doesn't have to be this way. And so again, so a big mind shift for me to change the way I was doing things, to start saying no, to start spending more time with the people I wanted to spend time with, outside of work as well as inside of work.
And had you come back to Christopher Pallet by then?
Yeah, so I was only away for a year.
Yeah.
2018. By 2019, I was back.
And then was you back in the office in that period of time, or was it still Colin?
Totally, yes, me being him. Look, the thing is, I love estate agency, and I love sitting in people's rooms, in their houses. I love talking to them about what we do and how we do it. It's very much a people business. I like to understand people's journey, why are they moving, how have they got to this point, what's the plan now, why is that happening, how can I help them? And it's fascinating. You get all sorts of everyone, right? So you've got the first time buyers, but when it comes to selling, you've got first time sellers, you've got people downsizing, people upsizing. Is it family? Is it financial? Probate? Those kind of sales. So you deal with all these different people, deal with all these different emotions, and which is hard work, because again, you can get home and you're drained. You've got nothing left for your family when you get home sometimes, but that's part of what we do. Estate agency isn't just selling houses, and I don't think a lot of people appreciate how much it affects you emotionally as well.
Also, especially if you're that type of person that you're saying, whereby we really want to know someone, we really want to try and help them, like you say, but then you've got this clash of the kind of the idea that as a business owner you're supposed to be like just concerned about profit, and you're supposed to be getting as much business as you can. So now you're dealing with people that you don't give a shit about them, really. Do you know what I mean? Because they don't give a shit about you, and you don't really like each other, but you're hoping to get a fee out of it.
Yep.
Which is like the complete opposite to what fires you up.
Absolutely.
Which is that you do want to meet people that appreciate you as a person, and you appreciate them, and you're going to help them through this journey, and they're going to pay you because they think that that's a fair thing to do.
Yep. But
you've got, like I say, this sort of conflict going on. It's nice that you've found the resolution to that.
So one of the guys in the mentor group, he would always say, I've said no to him. No, I'm dealing with it. I'm not paying that price. I'm not doing those fees. I'm thinking, wow, what a nice place to be. I mean, I'd love to be like that one day. And I realised, well,
how did it feel when you started that process for the first no?
It changes everything.
Yeah,
it changes everything, and you have to believe in it. You have to, and trying to tell Colin, it's going to be all right. It's like, it's going to affect my wages. We're going to sell less. I'm not going to earn as much. I'm like, Colin, go with. It's going to be all right. Let's just see what happens. Like, just fuck it. Just close your eyes. Come with me on this. Let's see what happens. And in 2024, when I decided to do that, compared to the business in 2023, we took onto the market 33% less houses than we did the previous year. And our sales figures were up 25%. So my overhead, obviously I wasn't dealing with shit anymore, and actually that year, the figures show that we sold the exact same amount of houses that we took onto the market, the same number in units. And you think, wow, I've not had my time wasted by people that don't want to listen, that think their house is worth more than everybody else's because so-and-so estate agents said it was.
Yeah.
And gave me a load of old bullshit.
They're going to tell you how to do the job.
Exactly. And that's changed the conversation that we have nowadays.
And then when did you start working with us? That would have been because me and you spoke, right? Just before you signed up.
Yes.
You'd spoken to Matt.
Yep. So
and that had led you to us, I guess.
yeah. So Matt told me a bit about life cycle and what it did. I've been into AI for quite a while, and we just understand what's happening there. So I think we spoke probably March, April.
Yeah.
And then I came on
2024, right?
It was last year.
No, last
2025.
year.
2025. Yeah, that's what I meant. March, April 2025. So some things happened, like whereby you've decided, right, I've got to sort myself out here. I'm overweight. I used to like running. I'm doing bugger all. I'm not enjoying life. I've got stress. I've got sleep apnea. You start sorting yourself out. You start sorting the business out. But then, like, what led you to the idea of thinking, like, I'm going to try and sort out, I don't know, I'm going to, because you know, I said at the start, and we've said many times on the podcast, I'm not trying to make this a plug for Life Cycle. What I'm trying to get to is, like, there's one thing sorting yourself out and then carrying on the business and being like, right, that's it, it's working now. And there's another thing like going, you know what, I'm going to just rip this up and do it a different way.
Yeah.
Which is kind of what's required when you switch. It's not switching software so much, it's like a different way of working, right? So it's completely different. Right, what led to that and what made you think, let's do that? And what bumps did you get and what ups did you get?
So I switched from Desres to Alto. Okay, because Desres 1, as it was called, was coming to an end. And I've been on Desres for ever, right? It's years and years and years. And we looked at their package when it first came out, the new package, and it didn't work for us, and they switched us back, and then it was coming to an end. So I looked around, and other people were using Alto, so I went on to that. I think I realised that, you know, the business had to start moving forward. When I looked at Alto, I was still only using probably 25-30% of what it did, because the rest of it was noise.
Yeah.
And there's no one sort of showing you how to use it. This is what you do there. And I thought there must be a better way. We need a CRM system that works for us. And there were a few in the market, a couple to look at, I thought, in the market to look at, one of which was yours. And so we had a conversation. I looked at I was shown the system, how it works, spoke to Matt, and I thought that is completely different. It does a lot more than what we're doing at the moment. And because the CRM system I was using just did what all the others did. Stick clients on there, you put properties on there to load them up onto Rightmove, you stick clients on there, yes, it'll match people's property, yes, we can send an email, but let's get on the phones. Okay, and a bit of antiquated way of doing it. And so you can do blogs, and I find time to go and type up some blogs, and then you can do these emails. I'm like, no one's showing me, but I can do it, and that's going to take up a lot of my time. And I'm very much someone that works in my business. Yeah. And so that made it difficult. But then looking at what Lifecycle had to offer, a lot of that stuff was going to be done for me. And all I had to do was just look at it and make sure it was the right tone or how I wanted it to be. And so we switched to Lifecycle, and all of a sudden you realize that you don't need to make 100 phone calls when a property comes on the market. You just need to look at what the system tells you, and that says, well, these 10 people are the most likely to view it. And so the guys in the office, all of a sudden, they've got this focus of who they're going to call, why they're going to call it, and there's no such thing called a cold call anymore. Right? There's no cold calls. It's the system says, right, you've just taken this house on the market yesterday. These are the people that clicked on it. This is how many times they clicked on it. These are the ones that are matching to it because of this, this, and this. Phone them. And so the girls will come in and they're like, right, these people, you don't need to say, all right, well, we took that one yesterday, sent it out via email, start calling through those 60 people you sent the details to. No, they were just coming in going, right, well, I've got some calls to make. And they were like excited again, you know, because it's not a cold call. Because first thing you say, oh, we sent you a property, you've been clicking on it.
Yeah.
You know, you've looked at it 5 times. When would you like to come and have a look?
Yeah.
You know, it's simple things like that, which then changed the feel of the way they were working. And it's a lot more focused. Now, I'm still not using all of it, but, you know, getting the training that you need to tell you how it's working, why it works, and how to improve what you're doing on the system. but it's just so much more advanced without being complicated.
Yeah, it's mad, isn't it? Like, I was just chatting to someone the other day about the system they're using. And we were talking about some of the things that they could be doing if they were using a different system, but the migration from one to the other would be painful, and with bumps in the road, and maybe it's not worth the effort. And I was the one saying that, and I was saying, however, one thing I can guarantee you is that if you did it and you moved to this new system, whether it was ours or somebody else's or whatever, and enough time passed whereby you had new members of staff that only ever knew that system, and then you said, "Oh, we're moving to this one, this old one," or I turned up and tried to sell you the old one, you just laughed me out the door.
Totally.
Do you know what I mean? And so it's actually, it's just the change. It's just the bumps in the road of
There's always pain. You change a system, done it twice now, and there is a pain point. Of course there is. It's a lot of hard work to go through it.
Same thing with when you changed your own, it's going to start swimming. I mean, that's fucking painful.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? That's more painful than moving to 100 properties.
But the fact of the matter, at some point, the pain of not doing anything is greater than the pain of changing. And that's what happened to me in my personal life. The pain of sleep apnea, not sleeping, headaches, not feeling great, not being present, being no good to my kids at weekends because I was knackered or I'd had a drink and I was hungover because it got to the weekend. It's like, fuck everything. The pain of that became greater than the pain of changing, right? And I think the same is with this, because it's not only the pain of the system you use is not going to do what you want. Your competitor that does take up this new system is going to go ahead of you because they're doing things. They're not having to plug in 6-7 different types of prop tech because their system is doing a lot of that stuff for them anyway, without them having to do a great deal. There's a lot of it's automated. So take pain.
Yeah. And have you found, because obviously you said like when you first started that you had a couple of the business partners and then they left and then you got involved with Matt and you got a couple more and obviously, and you actually like collaborating with a lot of agents. Yeah, we've got our own community.
Yeah. I mean, that's been different as well. Being part of a WhatsApp group full of all these fantastic agents that are investing in their future. That it feels like they're all looking forwards. They're all looking forwards about what's coming and how they can improve and how their agency can be better. There's a lot of us are stuck in that ground of just doing the same things we've always done because, I think my business has very much been a lifestyle business for me, to be honest. Yes, I've got an office. Yes, I employ staff, but I work in the business. And so it's a lifestyle business, right? And I think I've now got to that point after the changes I've made over the last 2 or 3 years where I'm going, well, actually, now it's time to change that. And I think a lot of that comes from listening to other people using lifestyle, coming to the conferences, listening to what other people are saying and how their business has gone from being someone that works in their business. They became an estate agency owner because they was good at being agents or whatever it was. And they loved it. Like me, I love valuation. I love getting the house on the market. And I'm obviously the best person at doing that, right?
Just hate being fucking managed.
I can't be managed. I don't do being managed. Nor does Colin, to be honest with you, which is probably why we work well together. But listening to a lot of people's journeys and what they've been through, it's opened up my eyes to thinking, actually, this whole community has changed a lot of that for me as well. And looking at the future and what I want out of the future. I'm 47 now. My kids are growing up. And I've got a lovely business that provides a really lovely lifestyle for us. Nice house, nice cars, nice holidays. We live to our means. And the business is nice business. But I'm at that point now where I think I want to be working on it a bit more than working in it, I suppose.
Yeah, absolutely. Love it. Okay, I've got one last question I want to ask you, really. So, you've been around in estate agency, as you've explained to us, like quite eloquently over the last 26 years.
Yeah,
we've gone from applicant boxes to the software telling you who you should maybe speak to. Where do you see it? Where do you see it going over the next few years? It's difficult to go too far into the future because things are moving so fast. But you mentioned there about like people could fall behind if they stay with old systems, transfer to new system. But where do you just start? You're looking forward now, like you've got a good business there. You're in your 47 and you're looking forward to the next. What does the ideal next chapter of Christopher Pallet look like in a estate agency?
Well, this is the thing. This is where I'm looking at the industry at the moment, and it's changing rapidly and has done the last few years. And you see, EXP and this whole personal agent side of things, TAUK and Avocado. And so these guys are creating something that provides a real nice lifestyle business for someone. And I think some of those guys are exceptional and do a brilliant job and very successful at having this lifestyle business. You're seeing some of them now, I won't mention names, but one particular who went on at one point not that long ago how you don't need a high street office, it's a waste of money and pointless, this, that and the other. So all of a sudden opened up his own office and got, well, actually, if I'm going to grow, I need an office, right? So I think the office is here to stay in certain areas. But I think also I see some of the larger corporates perhaps struggling a bit in the future in terms of adapting to the way things are changing quickly, and they probably can't change the way 250, 300 offices work overnight. So that they're going to change as well. So I actually think that whilst the independent agent will continue and get stronger, so I think there's still space for really good independent agents as well. I'm saying corporates will go completely. All of it's been down to the individuals. Good estate agents will be here to stay in whatever guys they are, whether that's independent or self-employed or whatever model it is. From my own business point of view, I think where I am now, if I want to expand, it's not about opening up a second office. I think that's a big overhead. That's splitting people into two. And I don't think that's necessary, really. One of the things that attracted me about Livestock, I understand about the CRM system again, what it does enable me to do is to cover a larger area than what I cover without having to open up more offices, and perhaps with getting partners on board to take over different areas around where I am. And whether I end up with a larger office off the high street so people can work together, I think being in an office environment is really important. I don't think I close my office down tomorrow, I could go and work for EXP as myself in my area, sell 35% less houses, and I would make a lot more money than I make now, personally. But I love being in an office. I love having a team around me, and I love what comes with that. So the future for me is probably expanding by getting more people on board to cover a much larger area from one main hub, as opposed to opening up more offices. That's the way I see it. But it's all about individuals, and I think it always has been. It doesn't matter who you work for or who you work under, or if you're a good estate agent and you care about people and you look after people and you do things in the right way, you'll be successful. Don't make it all about money. That will come. That comes organically, of course.
Very good.
Well, no, you've been very good.
Yeah.
Enjoyed this.
Really good.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for coming in.
Really enjoyed it. Thank you.
Thanks for listening to this Estate Agency X podcast. Can you make sure that you're actually subscribed to this podcast channel if you liked the content? It helps us massively to get better guests, and it just helps us generally. So you might think you're subscribed, but just have a double check, whatever your podcast platform of preference is, that you're actually subscribed, and then that way we can continue to grow the channel and get better and better guests for you.